Hi everyone, my name is Donnie Lowy from Closeout.com. Hope you're doing well today. Today I'd like to discuss with you how to sell closeouts to flea market vendors. You know, flea market vendors always need new merchandise for their flea market sales. Flea market vendors have a unique business model, and that is they travel to flea markets. They're always exposed to different customers, and at the same time, the customers that go to the flea market, even if the flea market vendors are the same flea market, but the customers, they change. There's different customers at different times, and even if they have their same regular customers, there's so much intense competition at a flea market because there's so many different flea market vendors that the flea market vendors have to go out of their way to attract attention, to retain their customers, and to bring in new customers, and to I would just say to develop a business, right? Hopefully they want to get 2 or 3 spots, or they might want to hire someone else, send them to another flea market, and so on. One of the best ways for flea market vendors to become successful, in my opinion, is by selling closeouts. So the opportunity is there for flea market vendors to sell closeouts, which means there's an opportunity for wholesalers or for distributors or jobbers to sell closeout merchandise to flea market vendors. So how do you sell closeouts to flea market vendors? One of the things you can do is you could visit local flea markets, introduce yourself to the flea market vendors, and then let them know what you have. Bring samples with you, or give them a business card. The flea markets sometimes might not want you to go, to every flea market vendor, try to sell to them. In that case, go to the owner of the flea market, get permission, and if they still say you cannot go to all the flea market vendors, then let the owner of the flea market know, or the operator of the flea market know what closeouts you have available, and offer them a commission to introduce you to the flea market vendors. Or they might have a spot where they would allow you to leave your flyers or your business cards, and this way flea market vendors will see those flyers and those business cards, and then they're going to go ahead and contact you. Now, another thing you could do is you could find trade publications that cater towards flea market vendors. I remember there used to be Closeout News, Wholesale News before they ceased publication, but there's still many publications I've seen around that cater towards retailers, including towards flea market vendors, so you can advertise in those publications. That's one thing you can do. And then another thing you can do is you can set up a website, gear the website towards flea market vendors, and then advertise the closeouts that you have. I think it's very important, however you sell your closeouts to vendors, whether it's you doing it in person or through a website or through a newspaper or through a magazine, you need to let the flea market vendors know what the original retail value of that merchandise is, what I would say the actual market price of that merchandise is, and how much you're selling it for them, and give them a good reason why they should buy it from you. So let's say you're selling toys, and it's a Star Wars action figure, and the Star Wars action figure has a full retail price of $15, and you've seen many retailers selling it for $10 to $15 each. So let the flea market vendor know that you could sell it to them for, let's say, $5 each. So you give them a compelling reason, right, why they should buy that from you. Number one, they have a good markup on it. And number two, also let them know how popular the items are. Sometimes you're going to sell a closeout that has a brand recognition, like Star Wars, where everyone is familiar with the brand or the designer name. But a lot of times, people are not going to be familiar with the closeouts that you have. So you need to do the work for the flea market vendors. They're very busy, looking around, buying merchandise, traveling to flea markets, setting up, then, packing up their stuff after they're done. So I'm sure you can imagine they're very busy as it is. So if you have a closeout that they're not familiar with, or a closeout that's not very well known, then don't expect them to have the time to do a lot of research. So you have to do the research for the flea market vendors and explain to them why people will buy that product at a flea market, and explain to them how profitable that product can be. Alright, if you have any questions, please let me know. The next time you are in New York, you're welcome to visit my warehouse. My website is closeoutexplosion.com. Thank you so much. Have a great day.